Hey, welcome back to Fat Mama Physics. This is part 2 of Rational Numbers 1.1. So, what am I going to cover in this video? I'm going to cover kind of comparing two different rational numbers, finding numbers that are between them, looking at decimals versus their fraction form, and maybe ordering some of them as well, okay? So, and then the last video, I will just go over examples, okay? So, let's get the show on the road. Finding rational numbers between two given numbers. Here, we want to find three rational numbers between each pair of numbers and determine the range, then use a number to plot them on the number line. So, what does this mean? First of all, we got these two numbers here. We need to figure out, first one, which one is the lower number, which one is the higher number. Here we have a negative number and a positive number. It actually doesn't matter how big they are. Since one of them is negative, then for sure this is going to be the lower number versus 1.25. Okay, so even if this this negative number was 300 or whatever, that's still lower. No, doesn't really matter what it is. What I would do next is I would put them on the number line. I will put negative 3.26 closer to the left side, and assuming going towards the right, I'm going to get larger. I'm going to put 1.25 over here, okay? So now I'm going to find three numbers that will fit on this number line. I will try to do my best to make sure that the intervals are relatively consistent. What I mean by that is, let's, for example, choose a number 0. We know 0 is going to go between these two numbers. It's the easiest one to visualize. Now, of course, 0 is going to be closer to the 1.25 versus the negative 3.26. So I'm going to put that a little bit closer to the 1.25. So notice that the relative lengths are directly proportional to the actual amount that I want them to be separated by. Okay, so I need two more numbers that fit here. Well, guess what? Between 0 and 1, definitely there's going to be... between 0 and 1.25, I have to get up to 1 first before we get up to 1.25. So that's another easy number to track there. If I go to the negative side of my number line, then I do know that it's going to go, I'm going to go negative 1, and then it's going to go to negative 2, and guess what? I'm going to reach negative 3 before I reach negative 3.26. Why? Because... If I have negative 3.26, if you think about money, I'm going to owe another 26 cents more than $3. So I'm going to go even more into the negative region. It's like a mirror image of positive and the negative side. One becomes more positive, the other side becomes more negative. Okay? All right. So guess what? There are two examples here. And, this one's a little trickier. So maybe, let me take a look. Actually, based off of what I just told you, let me give you a chance to try B. Good time to pause the video and try B. Okay, so I will go over it if you struggled a little bit, but hopefully you're at least able to tell which one's bigger. And yes, if you said that negative 0.25 is bigger than negative 0.26, you are absolutely correct, because negative 0.26 means you owe 26 cents versus 25 cents. You owe an extra cent versus the other person. So on a number line, it will look like this. Negative 26, and here over here, negative 0.25. Okay? Oh, all right. Now we got to find three numbers in between. Maybe this is where you got stuck. To find the numbers in between, what we have to do is we have to go up to the next place value. This one here is the 10th place. Here's the 100th place, the 5. And then here is the 1000th place. So we have to add numbers to the 1000th place to make this 0.25 a little bit more negative, but not as negative 0.26. So maybe what I'll do is, we know smack in the middle, we're going to have negative 0.255. So it's half a cent larger than negative 0.26. And since we have the 5, then we can kind of fill in the between. We can say this is, actually not smack in between. Maybe over here, I get negative 0.252 And over here, maybe I might have negative 0.257. Okay. Now, all of these numbers are a little bit more negative than 0.25, but not as negative as 0.26. Okay. Okay, nice. Nicely done. All right. The next one we have is a fraction. So, if you want to just go ahead and do this, go ahead. But if you want a little tip, here's a tip. Anytime when you have a fraction, you can always convert it to the decimal form before you start to do the ordering. Now, when you do that, if the question tells you to leave all the numbers in fraction form, you have a little bit of trouble because you have to, first of all, put the fraction numbers in the question. And when you find the numbers in between, you probably have to reconvert them back to their fractional form. But let's say we can, let's keep this easy and just work with decimals if we do that, okay? So here's my tip. Convert negative 1.1 over 2 and 1 over 4 into decimal form. So give that a try first. What that will look on the calculator will be 1 divided by 2, which hopefully you might be able to do without the calculator, as 0.5, in which this will be 0.5. 1 over 4, if you need the calculator, 1 divided by 4 is going to give you 1 over 4, 0.25. Okay? And of course, it doesn't matter which number is bigger or smaller in terms of absolute value-wise. You know that one number is negative, that one has to be the smaller one. So that has to be smaller versus 0.25 is bigger, okay? So then you can put them onto the number line, and if this is where you, hopefully if this was the part that got you stuck, maybe you can do the rest of the question. Good time to pause the video again. Okay, so here we go. Well then, we know that in between a negative number and a positive number, there has to be a 0. That's the easiest one to plot. So I'm going to plot that a little bit closer to the 0.25 right there. Okay. Now we're going to go into, there's a lot more numbers we can put in the negative zone. So I'm going to do that first. So maybe I'll put this one. Since I have 0.25, I'm definitely going to have negative 0.25, which is actually smack in between 0 and the negative 25 like this. Okay. I have 2 more numbers I have to put in. Well, let's put in this one. I know I can put in a number that's slightly bigger than 0 and less than 0.25, 0.1 for sure. And why not? Let's put it on this side as well. Negative 0.1. Okay, there you go. These are my 3 numbers. So if you had anything in between, or you don't have to have mine, of course, so you're probably on the right track. If you put anything that is 0.1 or 1 itself, anything larger than, if you put anything, if you put a 0.6 or 0.7 or 0.8 or even a 1, then that's wrong, because that would be even more negative than 0.5. If I had to extend the number line, then it would be probably somewhere over here. That's a negative 1. Okay, so just watch out for that. Otherwise, good work here. Moving on to the next one. Okay, example 2, ordering rational numbers in decimal or fraction form. So what I will do is I am going to do A, and maybe you can try B and C, because the idea is pretty similar compared to the one before, okay? So let's start with A. We're going to order these from least to greatest. We're going to use a number line. First of all, we need to determine the least and the smallest and the biggest number out of all of these. So first of all, if we want a least number, you definitely want to look for the negative number. The negative number is probably going to be the least. So it's either this one or this one. The one that is more negative is going to have the larger number. So 3.2 is bigger than 0.6. And in front, and with a negative in front, it's going to be even less. So the least is negative 3.2, because you owe $3 versus 60 cents, right? So anyways. The one that is larger, well, of course, that's easy. You just look at all the numbers that don't have the negative sign, and the one that's bigger is going to be the largest one, 2.5. Okay, we put these on the number line, okay, and then we try to order everything in between. And when I do this, I like to just have a reference point of where my 0 is going to be. Even though 0 is not one of the numbers, I just like to have it here so I can visualize it. Okay, so let's say that's my 0. It's going to be closer to 2.5 versus 3.2. And if I look at the positive numbers, I have the one that's going to be a little bit less than 2.5 is 1.7. Oh, and it's a good idea to cross out numbers as you go. So I'm going to put 1.7 down. It's going to be roughly there. And something less than 1.7 is going to be 0.35. Okay, and the reason is less because it doesn't have a whole number. Anything that has a whole number is going to be bigger than something that's just a fraction. It's just like eating part of a pizza versus like a whole pizza, or even more than a whole pizza. Then going into the negative region, the last one we have is negative 0.6. So if you just smack it somewhere in the middle, you're probably not going to go wrong, but I like to be a little bit more proportional with where I choose them to be. So I'm going to put it roughly about there. That's going to be negative 0.6. And that is done. Okay, first question done. So B and C, notice B, there's a bunch of fractions, which I told you before. The tip is to convert them into decimal form. And, even tells you here, write each fraction as a decimal. Then you put it on the number line. And C is just a mixed bag. So it's just basically more of the same thing, except you have a variety of things to work with. All right? And it even tells you, good idea to write these numbers, fractions and mixed numbers, as decimals. Okay? So guess what? This is a good time to pause the video and try B. Okay, I'm going to do B here, and I'm going to convert all these to decimal form. Negative 3 over 4 is negative 0.75. 5 over 9, that's going to be 0.5 repeated. If you do enough math, you'll know these by heart, which is why. Negative 10 over 4, so don't forget the negative sign. There's going to be 2 of those in there, and I have 1/2, so that's going to be 0.5, so that's going to be negative 2.5. Okay, and of course, if you put it in the calculator, that's totally fine. You don't have to do this all in your head. Okay, here I have negative 1 over 4, so this is a mixed number. If you weren't sure, it looks like this. Okay, this is what it will look like. It's a mixed number. So then, if we convert this one to a decimal, this would be negative 1.25. Okay, over here this is going to be 0.7, and last but not least, this is going to be 2.66666, I believe. Here, we can just double check. 8 divided by 3. There you go. Okay? Okay, so these are the numbers I have to work with. First of all, I'm going to choose the largest number. Okay, I'm going to do that. Okay? Okay, my largest number, I'm going to do a different color in case it gets too messy. Largest number is definitely not going to be negative. It's going to be positive, and it looks like these are my two positive numbers. Okay, so 2.666 is going to be my largest number. My lowest number, my negatives, are going to be these guys. And the largest and the most negative one is going to be this one, negative 2.5. Okay, so I got the two ends of my spectrum. Again, I like to have the decimal. I like to have the 0 point here. And then everything in between, I have 0.7, which I can just easily slap on over here, 0.7. And all of my other numbers, I have negative, oh, oopsies, over here I have a positive number here, 0.5, repeated, is positive, but it's going to be less than 0.7, so that's going to be right there below 0.7, I have 0.5 repeated. Then I have two more to go, so that's done. I have negative 1.5 and negative 0.75. Negative 1.5 is going to be even more negative, so I should put that over here. And then this one, negative 0.75 is going to be closer to the 0 than negative 1.25. Okay, so here is that one. Okay, next up is C. Guess what? You want to give this a try? Good time to pause the video. All right, so again, good idea to convert these all to their decimal forms. So let's give that one a try. This one is going to be, again, it's going to be negative and 3.3 repeated. This one I might need a calculator. I can't remember this one very well. Okay, wow, it's that one, the one that's really funky. 0.4285, 0.4285, ... I like putting the decimal just to show that it continues onwards. Oh, wait a minute, it repeats 571, and this repeats. Okay, and then this one over here is -2 and 2/5. So this is -2.4. Okay, all right. The largest number and the smallest number. Let's go. Biggest number is going to be positive. So it looks like it's going to be 2.7. I think 2.7 is going to be the largest. Here, 2.7 is our largest, so we can cross that out. The smallest is going to be negative, and that's going to look like, ooh, there's this one here versus negative 3.3 repeated, -3.4 is definitely going to be more negative. So, wow, that was a tricky one. Just very close to one another, but still doable. And then, of course, by default, -3.3 repeated is going to be slightly bigger because you owe a little bit less money than the other person. And there we go. Let's put the 0 line here, and let's begin. Okay, so we got 2.7, that one is done. We also have, oh, that one's negative. Ooh, -2.4. Okay, let's do with the positives. Okay, we've got a positive over there, and this guy's a positive as well. So I'm going to put here 1.13, because that's definitely bigger than 0.42. By any time that you want to put the, if you want to put the fraction as opposed to the decimal, we can do that as well. Okay, so now we are done with our, so we got rid of this one here. Okay, so we are done with the positives. Let's get rid of the negatives. Oh, we're finished with that too. So it looks like we're finished everything else, except one more negative here, -2.4. So that's the last one, which I'm going to put over here, which is a little bit closer to this side. And that's it. This is the last number, and we finish. Great. And I'm going to end my video here, and we'll have one more going over try these problems, in which maybe you should do them instead. But you're welcome to watch the video just to make sure you got everything. Again, thank you for watching, and Phantom Mama Physics signing out.